My girlfriend texted after stealing $20,000 from my safe. I borrowed money, don't expect repayment. I replied, understood. Then I began the long, slow process of holding her accountable. I, 32 male, am a carpenter. I build custom furniture. For the last 5 years, my entire professional life has been about saving up enough money to buy a small workshop space. Not rent, but own. A place that's mine where the sawdust is my own. The electricity bill has my name on it. The goal was $20,000 for a down payment on a perfect little cinder block building I've had my eye on for a year. I kept the cash in a floor safe in my closet. Old school, I know, but I liked seeing the stacks grow. It felt real, tangible. My girlfriend, Jennifer, 29, knew all about it. We'd been together for 2 years. She was a freelance graphic designer, creative and vibrant. I thought we were building a future. We'd talked about me getting the workshop, her maybe setting up a small studio in a corner of it. It felt like a shared dream. Last Thursday, I came home from a job site, ready to add the final $500 to the pile. I opened the safe. It was empty. Just a hollow metal box. $20,000, gone. I felt the blood drain from my face. My first thought was a break-in. But the door was locked, windows were secure, nothing else was touched. I walked through the apartment in a daze. Her laptop was gone. A few of her favorite jackets were missing from the closet. Her toiletry bag wasn't in the bathroom. It was a slow, creeping realization. Not a burglary. A departure. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Jennifer, the one from the title. Jennifer, hey. I know you'll be mad, but I had to do something important. I borrowed the money from the safe. Don't expect repayment. This was the easiest way. I stared at the screen for maybe 10 minutes. The words didn't seem real. Borrowed. Don't expect repayment. The sheer breathtaking audacity of it. There was no rage, no screaming. The anger was so deep and so cold it felt like stillness. All the warmth I ever felt for her, all the memories, they just evaporated. In their place was a quiet, clear-eyed focus. This wasn't a breakup. This was a heist. My thumbs moved slowly, deliberately. Me, understood. And then I got to work. I didn't call her. I didn't text her again. I took a photo of her text message. I took a photo of the empty safe. I wrote down the date and time. Then I went to my laptop and found every photo I had of us where her personal belongings were visible in my apartment. Her expensive ergonomic chair, her collection of vintage art prints, her high-end digital drawing tablet. I spent Thursday night making a detailed, itemized list of everything she had left behind. Every single thing. On Friday morning, I didn't go to the job site. The first call I made was to my bank to see if I could get a consultation with their legal services. They referred me to a lawyer who specialized in civil litigation. The consultation itself cost me $300 from my emergency fund, a fund I keep separate for tools breaking or medical bills. It felt like the first drop of blood in the water. I laid out the facts, showed him the text, the photos. He leaned back in his chair. He said the text was a golden ticket. It's an admission of taking the money. He explained that because of the amount, this wouldn't be simple small claims. This would be a full-blown civil suit in superior court. He was frank about the costs, a retainer of several $1,000s up front, then hourly billing. He said we had a very strong case to have her pay my legal fees in the end. But there were no guarantees. That was the first moment the cold resolve wavered. I'd lost my $20, and now I had to drain my emergency savings just to start the process of getting it back. For a second, I thought about just letting it go, eating the loss. But the image of her text, this was the easiest way, flashed in my mind. Easiest for her. I told him to move forward. The retainer wiped out nearly all of my emergency cash. This is the plan we mapped out, the slow, expensive, and correct way. Place all her abandoned property into a secure storage unit. As an involuntary bailee, I have a right to secure the property and a duty to protect it, and she is liable for all associated costs. Send a formal demand letter via certified mail to her parents' house demanding repayment of the $20,000 plus the initial moving and storage costs within 30 days. If, or as the lawyer said, when, she fails to respond, we file the civil suit. Then, we wait for the system to do its work. So Reddit, aita for starting down this long, expensive path? Part of me is screaming at the injustice of having to pay thousands to get back what was stolen from me. But the other, colder part knows this is the only way. This isn't about revenge. It's about ensuring an action this profound has an equally profound consequence. Update 1. It's been a slog. Nothing about this is fast. The demand letter was delivered and signed for at her parents' house a month ago. For weeks, the only response was silence. I paid a moving service to professionally inventory and transport her belongings to a storage unit. I have the receipts. The monthly bill for that unit is another expense tacked onto the running total. The financial bleed is real. I've taken on 2 extra cabinet jobs, working weekends just to rebuild my emergency fund and cover these new costs. Then, about 2 weeks ago, the first contact came. A call from her brother, Robert. I let it go to voicemail. Voicemail from Robert. William, Robert, got your joke of a letter. Listen, I don't know what you're trying to pull, but Jennifer did what she had to for family. It was for a business investment, an important one. You need to drop this legal crap, it's pathetic. For family, I sent the voicemail to my lawyer. His emailed response was simple, duly noted. This helps establish intent. A week later, Jennifer called. I took a deep breath, put it on speaker, and hit record on a separate device. My state is a one-party consent state. Her voice was full of manufactured indignation. Are you serious, William? A 30-day demand letter? You're treating me like a criminal. You took $20,000 from my safe without permission, I said, my voice more steady than I felt. What would you call it? I told you, I borrowed it. It was for Robert's new venture. He needed a seed investor, and I knew you'd get bogged down in details and say no. It's a tech startup. I almost laughed. Robert? The one whose last venture was trying to dropship bespoke dog collars? This is different. You're a carpenter. You make good money. You can absorb this. My brother's future was at stake. I made a choice for my family. The sheer arrogance was stunning. My 5 years of work, my dream, was just an obstacle she decided to remove for her brother's latest fantasy. Where are my things? She demanded, changing tack. I was going to get them. Your property was abandoned in my residence, I said, echoing the lawyer's script. It's been placed in a secure storage facility to prevent damage or loss. You've been sent the bill for the services rendered. Once you've paid the outstanding balance, you can arrange to retrieve your items. The silence on her end was heavy. You had no right to touch my things, she said, her voice dropping to a venomous whisper. My tablet, my art? I had a legal duty to secure them. My lawyer's number was on the letter. All future communication can go through him. I hung up. My heart was pounding. It wasn't triumph. It was the sickening confirmation that the person I knew was completely gone, replaced by this entitled stranger. The 30-day deadline passed. We officially filed the suit in civil court last week. It cost another chunk of money. The server delivered the summons to her. Now, the real waiting begins. My lawyer says it could be 6 to 8 months before we even see the inside of a courtroom. It feels like a marathon I'm running with a weight vest on. Update 2. 5 months of waiting. This is the part of justice they don't show in the movies. The long, silent periods where you start to wonder if it's even worth it. Jennifer and her family have used the time to build a narrative. She's lawyered up, and their first move wasn't in court. It was on social media. She's been posting a curated stream of vague but pointed content. Photos of her looking pensive with captions like, finally freeing myself from a toxic situation and learning to stand on my own 2 feet. Or, a relationship should be a partnership, not a dictatorship, where one person controls all the resources. It's a masterclass in gaslighting. Mutual friends have messaged me, confused. I've just said, it's a private matter being handled legally. It's infuriating, but my lawyer loves it. We've screenshotted and time-stamped everything. He calls it painting a picture of motive. About 2 months ago, Robert showed up at my apartment complex, waiting for me by my truck. He tried to corner me. You're really trying to ruin her, man, he said. I immediately pulled out my phone and started recording. Robert, you need to leave. You're not to have contact with me. Just drop the suit. She's a mess. You're bleeding her dry with these storage fees for her stuff. She can have her things as soon as she pays the bill, I said. That money was an investment in me, he blurted out, his face getting red. An investment? You think you're the only one who can have a dream? It was a direct contradiction of their emerging gift narrative. I just kept the phone on him and said nothing. He eventually ran out of steam, called me a few choice names, and left. I sent another video file to my lawyer. The storage bills are now in the thousands. Every 30 days, another bill gets sent to her via certified mail. The storage company's policy is clear. After 180 days of non-payment, the unit's contents are considered abandoned and will be scheduled for public auction. That deadline is next month. My life has become a routine of work, save, document. I feel like I'm treading water. There are nights I lie awake just furious at the sheer grinding injustice of it all. The cost, the time, the emotional energy. I almost called her once in a moment of weakness just to scream at her, to ask her how she could do it. But I didn't. I held on to that cold, quiet place inside me. The trial date is finally set for next month. It feels like the end of a very long, very dark tunnel. Update 3. The trial was yesterday. It felt surreal to be in the same room with her and her family after all this time. They sat on one side, a little huddle of defiance. Jennifer was dressed conservatively, looking like she wouldn't hurt a fly. Her lawyer was slick, just as I'd expected. His argument was that we were effectively in a common law marriage, and our finances were intertwined. He claimed the $20,000 wasn't a theft, but a disputed withdrawal from joint resources. He painted me as a controlling partner who held the purse strings and that Jennifer took the money in a moment of desperation to fund a joint future investment in her brother's company. It was a plausible-sounding fiction. Then my lawyer stood up. He wasn't slick. He was a carpenter, just like me. He built his case piece by piece. Bank records. He produced 5 years of my bank statements, showing every dollar in that savings account came from my business account, with my name on it. He showed Jennifer's separate accounts. There was no commingling of funds. The text, Exhibit A. He projected it onto the screen. "Mr. Vance," the judge said to her lawyer, "your client calls it a borrowing in this text, which contradicts the idea of it being a withdrawal from joint funds. Can you explain that?" The lawyer fumbled. The voicemail and video. He played the audio of Robert's voicemail and the video of him confronting me, where he repeatedly calls the money an investment. My lawyer pointed out, here we have the recipient of the funds calling it an investment, not a gift or a joint withdrawal. Another contradiction. Social media. He presented the portfolio of her social media posts. "Your Honor, these claims of a toxic and financially controlling relationship only began after my client sent a legal demand for repayment. When Jennifer was on the stand, my lawyer asked her one simple question. Ms. Vance, if this was a withdrawal from joint resources for a shared investment, why did you feel the need to take it from a safe without Mr. Knowledge and then immediately leave the home you shared?" She started to cry, talking about how I was obsessed with the workshop and she was scared. The judge was having none of it. He looked at the evidence and ruled in my favor. Judgment for the full $20,000, plus my documented legal fees, plus all outstanding and future storage costs. He called her actions deceptive and executed in bad faith. It wasn't a moment of cheering. I just felt the immense weight of the last 7 months lift off my shoulders. I nodded at my lawyer, turned and walked out without looking at them. Final update. It's been a full year since my life was upended. Winning in court was just the halfway point. The real victory is in the slow, grinding follow-through. After the judgment, there was a 30-day period for Jennifer to pay. Unsurprisingly, she didn't. My lawyer then had to file a separate motion for a writ of garnishment. The court took weeks to process it. Then it had to be formally served to her employer's HR department. They, in turn, had their own processing period. It was another 3 months of waiting after the trial before the consequences finally became real for her. The first garnishment hit her paycheck about 5 months ago. 25% of her gross income. It's the maximum allowed. Around that time, I got a notice from the storage company. Her unit's contents, having been delinquent for over 180 days, had been auctioned off. The auction brought in just enough to cover her outstanding bill of several $1,000s. There was nothing left over. Her expensive chair, her art, her professional equipment, all gone for pennies on the dollar to cover a debt she could have stopped from accumulating at any time. 2 weeks after that first garnished paycheck, my phone rang with a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. It was Jennifer, and the frantic, panicked tone was one I had never heard before. Voicemail from Jennifer. William, oh my God, you have to call me. They took a quarter of my paycheck. A quarter. I can't pay my rent, my car payment. I didn't know it would be this much. This isn't fair. You've ruined me. Can't we just stop this? I'll pay you back, I swear. We can make a plan. Just call off the garnishment, please. You've made your point. She still didn't get it. It wasn't about a point. It was about a debt, a legal judgment. The time for plans was a year ago. I listened to the message, and for the first time I felt a sliver of something like pity. But it was small and distant, buried under the mountain of cost and stress she had put me through. I deleted the voicemail and blocked the number. The garnishment payments arrive in my account every 2 weeks. It will take over 3 years for the full judgment to be paid off. It's a slow, steady reminder of the consequences of her actions. I see the for sale sign on that cinderblock workshop was finally taken down last month. Someone else bought it. I was disappointed for a day, but then I realized it didn't matter. I'll find another one. The money she stole is slowly being returned, and the money I've earned since has been saved properly. I'm building again, but this time, my foundation is solid. It's built on a hard-learned lesson. Accountability is a long, slow, and expensive process, but it's worth it.